Alright, hi and welcome back to the channel. So today we're on phase 1 glue program, and this is the upper body part. We went through the lower body in the last video, so if you haven't done the legs yet, go and check out the last video where I went through every exercise on the lower body program. But today it's upper body. It's the one, if the program's what you've been waiting for, you've definitely been waiting for the upper body exercises. How to do it in a functional way confuses so many trainees. So many Gaelic footballers going into the gym to build strength in their upper body end up being very confused and end up just doing benching and bicep curls and ending up with shoulder injuries and bad posture when it can be so easily avoided with, like what we're saying all along, proper exercise execution and proper exercise selection. Those two things, you do them right and you're going to end up getting massive benefits out of your upper body work. You do those two things wrong, you're executing exercises wrong, like say too much benching and too much bicep curls, you can end up with bad posture, shoulder injuries, and just not in a good place functionally. If you could sum up my upper body philosophy for getting strong for Gaelic football in training, would be get really good at chin-ups and dips. Okay, so I've never seen someone who's really good at chin-up and dips who's not strong. It doesn't matter if he's 70 kg or if he's 100 kg, if he's really good at chin-ups and dips, chances are he's strong and he's physically well put together in the upper body. So if you have a really light guy, you can do like 10-15 chin-ups for 3 or 4 sets, 10-15 dips for 3 or 4 sets. He might not be that heavy body weight, but guaranteed he's strong, he's well able to take care of himself. Equally, if you have someone who's heavier weight, chin-ups don't lie as strength exercises. Whether if you flip that around, bicep curls and bench press tell a lot of lies. Okay, someone can be bicep curling heavy weight or be bench pressing heavy weight with the barbell and be weak as shite. Okay, they can be good at those certain exercises but not functionally strong. Where you cannot cheat at the dips and chin-ups. If you're good at them exercises, you have a strong upper body, there's no doubt about it. But obviously we can't only do chin-ups and dips for shoulder stability. For everything else we need to add in plenty of other exercises in there, like face pulls and rows and even bicep curls for structural balance. But I'll cover all of that in the program. Before we go through that, I thought I'd like to go through my favourite type of footballer. Just give my opinion, like I did before the last video. I told you a little bit of a story, my opinion on something. So my favourite type of footballer, 3 footballers from Mayo that I admire. Alan Dillon's my favourite footballer ever. I really admire him from a really young age, since Tyrone in 04. I was on the pitch in Croke Park afterwards when we beat Tyrone in 04, and I've really admired him and followed him all the way since. The type of player that I like the most is the really intelligent half-back, half-forward type player that gets on a lot of possession and dictates a lot of play. I really admire that type of player. That's the type of player I like watching the most. So 3 examples from Mayo club football would be Alan Dillon, Heather Gardner from Cosmolina, and Aidan Higgins from Charlestown. Now, when those 3, Ballintuba are in their prime now, but when Charlestown and Cosmolina were in their prime, they were savage football teams to watch. Really good to watch. And so much to be taken from them just by watching them play and learning from them. I know I did, even at a young age, 15, 16, 17 years old. Things that they did as a team just stuck out to me. But for my favourite type of player, I like players who are interested in getting on the ball all the time. It doesn't matter whether they're playing well or whether they're not playing well, they still want the ball all the time. They're willing to work hard and they're box to box. They do an awful lot of running. I like players that cover a lot of ground. That's my favourite type of player personally. Now obviously for some people it'll be the high catching midfielder, or the powerful full forward, or the man marking corner back, or the skillful corner forward. Different people have different preferences, and that's the beauty of the game, that's the beauty of a team sport. People respect and admire different things about the game. It's part of the pleasure of being involved in the game is talking about that. But that would be my favourite type of player. Now if you look at Aidan Higgins, Paddy Gardner and Alan Dillon, they're all playing well into if we can take any lessons from our off-season from these players, who interestingly have all played well into their 40s, into their late 30s. So what can we learn and apply in our off-season or even in our psyche that these guys have obviously mastered playing at a really high level, because club football in Mayo is a really high level of football in my opinion anyways. But they've all stayed lean, okay? So I'm not saying they do fucking brilliantly designed gym programs every year or anything like it. Obviously not. They're playing the game, club game, almost 20 years now, or even past it, some of them. Have they been doing perfect strength and conditioning programs from the top sports scientists? Definitely not, but they've managed to find out what works for them. And what I'd love to do with this stuff that I'm educating you with is I'd love to help you find what works for you, what exercises agree with you that keep you in shape, to keep your hips healthy, your knees healthy, your ankles healthy, what exercises, what diet, I'll go through that in later videos, what agrees with you, what keeps you playing and what adds to your process of playing year after year, month after month, off season after off season, and allows you to play the game at the level you want to play it at for as long a time as possible. Like, success is winning matches and winning county titles, absolutely, but a huge sign of success is playing for 2 decades at a high level and really enjoying your football and being competitive for all that time. If that's not success for a club footballer, I don't know what is. So with that being said, I think this program throughout the 12 weeks will give you tools to do that, to be your best, to add to your process, to help make you as good as you can possibly be and help keep you in that shape, keep you that way, keep you playing well for as long as possible, so you don't have to worry about the common pitfalls, the common injuries that so many club players fall into. And if you do ever fall into them, that you have a way out of them after your physio work. Obviously, I'm not a physio or a physical therapist. You can go back into this stuff and you know it'll help keep you at your best, keep you fit, keep you lean, keep you strong, and keep you playing the game that you love playing. So with that, let's jump straight into the video on today's upper body exercises. Okay, so to jump straight into the program, a couple of things. You train upper body twice a week, you train lower body twice a week. My first ever gym program I ever got from Kieran Griffiths, that's what he gave me, and I've been sticking to that and learned so much about that since. He didn't invent it by any means, but it's a very effective, very straightforward way of programming off-season work or just gym work in general. So 2 days upper and 2 days lower per week. What we want to do with this phase, like the lower body, is we want to get mind-muscle connection, loads of flexibility in the joints, work on the common weaknesses, get high enough reps, but with the upper body you don't tend to use as high reps on the compound exercises as the lower body. Okay, so you're better off using lower reps of the compound exercises. Now the lowest reps here is 6 to 8 on the flat dumbbell press. That's as low as we'll go on this day, but in general you can have that in your head. Upper body muscles and movement patterns are smarter and more diverse. So your hands move, your shoulders move in far more ways. So you keep changing the exercise and changing the reps, adding weight far more often than you do with the lower body. Lower body, you could use the same 10, 15 exercises for the rest of your career. If you're an 18, 19-year-old guy looking at this, you could use the same 10 or 15 exercises for the rest of your career, get really good at them. You'll never have to change them, okay? If you're doing them properly. But with the upper body, I use a far more diverse variety of exercises. So jumping in straight into today's program. So the first one, bench press. If there's anything that gets GAA players going in the gym, it's bench press. But that's not just GAA players, it's all lifters. We all love bench pressing. There's no barbell bench pressing on this program. I don't like people doing it unless I'm a coach, personal trainer myself. If I'm standing over them teaching them how to do it, fair enough. Apart from that, most people do it terribly and get injured. So with the bench press, your shoulders should be back, and it's pretty strict the way you need to execute it in terms of your elbows where they move, your shoulders where they're locked at, and most people do benching like that, in that position, disaster, okay? So if you are someone who's done benching and bicep curls and you've injured your shoulders or you have strains in your shoulders, usually it's a bad technique, and that's very, very common. Not that the weight is huge or anything like that, It's more to do with the technique rather than using massively heavy weight on the bench press. So the most shoulder friendly bench press is the dumbbell neutral bench press, like this. What I want you to do is take it really slow at the bottom. The neutral grip is easier on the shoulder for pressing, and it'll allow you to get really, really low at the bottom. Focus on getting your elbows really low. You want to keep your chest up and your shoulders back. Don't let your shoulders jump forward at the top of the movement. A common sin in bench pressing. Okay, so let's get really good at dumbbell bench pressing and dips over the next few weeks. Back to me here in the video, and cut off the bench pressing video. When you're pressing, and I'll go through this in a full video on pressing only, but when you're pressing, you can press at loads of different angles. So if we start at dips down here, and if we start at shoulder press up here, all these angles in between, you can bench press, so the bench goes at different angles. Most people spend all their time doing flat barbell bench press. Terrible idea. Use dips, neutral grip, use dumbbells, switch the grips on them, use different angles on the bench, and use different rep ranges. Far healthier for the shoulder joint, that bit of variety. Using barbell only bench pressing is not a good idea if you're a footballer. So let's jump away from it for a while, get really good at dips and dumbbells, and you'll be shocked when you go back to the barbell how much better your shoulders feel and how much heavier and stronger you are. Dips are an awesome exercise for improving your bench press, so spend 12 weeks getting good at them, you won't regret it. So the second exercise is chin-ups. Chin-ups, obviously great exercise, don't think anyone really disputes it, but I like to do them in the chest up format. So you'll see in the video here, you can go with a neutral grip, close neutral grip, or a supinated grip if you don't have a neutral bar. And I want you to think chest up, head back, rather than chin up. All the way down to the bottom, fully stretch the lats, let the shoulders drop down in between, let the head drop down in between the shoulders, fully stretch the lats at the bottom and up. Think chest up rather than chin up, head back. I don't like people coming too much into that posture at the top where the head goes forward like this. In general, I do like to make it more of a back exercise by leaning back and thinking chest up. At the end of our 4 sets of bench press and chin-ups, we do a minute long, or as long as you possibly can, hold in the stretch position of the chin-up. This is brilliant for shoulder health. If you have shoulder issues, I want you to build up till you're doing this maybe for 2-3 minutes a day. If you have shoulder issues. If not, just do it at the end of your bench press and supersetted with chin-ups. Hold for a minute in the stretch position at the bottom of the lift. Brilliant for your shoulders to have to be hanging like that. So the second superset is seated cable rows. Rows is another exercise that a lot of people butcher because they don't roll like this, they roll like that with the shoulders and the shrug up. Okay, that's what we're trying to get rid of. Crucial that you use your lats properly and you roll with your chest up as shown here in the video. Drive the elbows back, wrap them around the body, and think that your wrist is in a cast. There's not too much movement in the hands or the wrists, that you're just drawing the elbows back, and you should really feel it in your lats. If you can't feel it in your lats, you should. So either get someone to teach you properly, or don't do that ugly shrug movement. It will lead to shoulder problems further down the line. Okay, so chin-ups where you're leaning forward, and rows where you're jerking up your shoulders and your scapula isn't depressing and retracting, potentially can lead to shoulder problems further down the line. So the second exercise supersetted with that is incline pronated dumbbell flies. I love this exercise. Okay, I think it's absolutely brilliant for shoulder health again. It's very important that we fully stretch the pec. The pec minor is always nearly tight. Okay, and a lot of the time if someone has that hunched over physique, it's because their pec minor is tight. Most physios will agree with that, and physiotherapists. Pec minors get very tight. Now just stretching them alone, like with most exercises, isn't enough. You need to dynamically stretch it under tension, under a load. 2.5 kg dumbbells, 5 kg dumbbells. You bring it to a pronated on an incline, so to hit the upper pec a bit more. On an incline, you pronate your hands, then you twist them a little even more than pronated. So it's quite an unusual grip that you don't have for very, very few exercises. Not just pronated, but even a bit past that. So normally it's towards the other way from neutral. And you stretch slow all the way down, stretch, keep the dumbbell up at ear level, not down towards your chest, and come back up nice and slowly. It's all about the stretch with this exercise, all about feeling your chest stretch. So you're not going to loosen out your shoulders unless you fully stretch the pec minor and the bicep under load. Okay, so that's something I've learned from the coaches I've worked with. Fully stretch the bicep, fully stretch the pec minor under load. It's not about getting massive biceps or massive chest muscles. It's about keeping your shoulder very healthy and using all the range and all the different angles that the shoulder can be trained at. It's about getting them fully stretched, going through the extremes at all them angles. So the next exercise is face pulls. Super exercises for the external rotators of your shoulders. So the external rotator does that. Okay, so when you're doing a face pull, you want to come back and all the way back like this. Okay, so I'll go into the video now showing. You'll see me doing reps there. We're nice and slow on the way back in, and then pull up to your hairline at least. And getting into that externally rotated position is super, super important for shoulder health once again, okay? There's no such thing as having lats too big, and there's no such thing as having rear delts too big. If your chest or your biceps are too big, they're going to cause trouble and they're going to cause you to get injured if the imbalance becomes too much. It's virtually almost impossible to be training your lats so much that they get too big and start causing structural balance problem. Quite similar to your glutes. It's very hard to train your glutes too much or your hamstrings too much that it causes an imbalance at the front. I suppose it's possible is what I'm saying, but it's very, very unlikely. So what we want to do is train the rear delts, train the external rotators of the shoulder, add plenty of muscle back there, and that's your stability for your press, and that's the foundation for your presses at the front, is the strength and size of your rear delts and your lats in particular. What we came for, the last tricep, D1, D2, D3, okay? So biceps, triceps, and band pull aparts. For the first exercise, the bicep curl. So before I go into the video, with the bicep curl incline, you want your arm to be back here and you want to curl like that, so you get a full stretch of the bicep and the bicep muscle that crosses the shoulder joint. That is super, super important. Most people only work their biceps through chin-ups and rows, so the biceps are constantly in the shortened position and never in the fully strengthened position. It's a recipe for disaster with shoulder health. It really, really is. You want to train your biceps with the elbow behind the shoulder, and you want a big squeeze at the top, slow on the way down, big squeeze at the top. But feel that stretch fully extend at the bottom. Don't let the elbow come forward, because that defeats the purpose of having the bench at an angle. You don't want your elbow to come forward in line with the rest of your body. You want to keep it back. Squeeze up with bicep training. You don't need to go that heavy, you just need to get a really good mind muscle connection and stretch it out, squeeze it hard at the top, squeeze the dumbbell tight as you can, and don't let the dumbbell rotate towards the hammer grip. Keep it at neutral, keep it straight. Nothing wrong with the hammer curl, we're just not doing it this time. So keep your palm open and squeeze tight. So the next exercise is tricep pushdowns. So like the biceps, the triceps, while you're obviously going to be working them hard with your bench pressing and dips and your shoulder pressing, it's very hard for people to get their triceps into a fully locked out, straightened position where they're contracted and they're at their shortest. So it's very important when people start doing tricep extensions with me, they might be used to going to here to 3/4 of lockout or 90% of lockout, and being able to use a lot of weight and move fairly fast doing bouncy reps, fucking bouncy reps that we're trying to avoid at all costs. What I like doing is slowing them down, like in the video, really contracting hard at the bottom, really locking out the tricep, contracting hard, and that's super important for elbow health, to get your tricep into that shortened position. Going into skull crushers and decline dumbbell skull crushers and decline dumbbell extensions where you're really stretching the tricep across the elbow joint is a recipe for elbow pain, okay? So learn how to contract the tricep first before you go stretching it under load. So that's important for, it might be different for some other joints and from other areas of the body, but When it comes to triceps, you're better off learning how to really contract first before you start stretching the muscle behind the head or under load. Pressing and your dips and your shoulder presses are for that. So we'll keep the heavy tricep work for them. You can use light weight on the triceps, just get a burn, mind-muscle connection, and fully contract, fully shorten the muscle. Last one, band pull-aparts. So just hold the bands out straight in front of you. Do 3 sets of 20 reps, really big burner, and pull it to the neck. You want to keep your arms straight and keep your hands pronated. Don't go floppy with the wrists or soft with the wrists. Just nice and straight. Open it up, keep the tension on the band, 20 reps, and that'll end up giving you a really big shoulder and arm pump at the end of the session. You really get a lot of blood in there around the arms and the shoulders, which is always a good thing, like we talked about with the legs. Speeds up recovery, improves mind-muscle connection, improves muscle growth, improves strength. The pump is very underrated. Not the be-all and end-all, but it's very underrated. And if you're going into all your gym sessions and you're never getting the pump and you're never getting much blood into the muscle, chances are, in my experience, you're not making much progress. Not always, but most of the time, no pump, no progress. Get your strength exercises done with good technique first. Get blood in there afterwards with the isolation exercises for a complete strength workout. Alright, so that's part 2 of the first 4 weeks. I wore the blue t-shirt during this because it's the blue program. So the blue program is for November. This is your November twice a week upper body training program. We went through in the last video your November blue twice a week lower body program. So you want to do 2 sessions of each a week, 4 sessions in the week, 16 sessions in the month, 8 sessions of each per month, and then move on to the next program. So that's how we'll be dividing out the program, that's how we'll be laying things out. So I'll be covering a different topic for your off season for the next few weeks while you're on this program, and then obviously I'll be giving you the new program in the start of December, and the next new program after that, the last 4 weeks phase, in the start of January. In the meantime, I'll be covering any topics you have in between on any muscle groups, but especially diet, which is something that a lot of players mess up, which they could improve so much with just the simplest bit of guidance, because a lot of them are intend well with their diets, they're just being misinformed by nutrition experts. But nutrition is an industry where just anything goes, literally anything goes. But we'll talk about that in the next video. For now, enjoy the pump, enjoy the upper body work. If you want to be a box-to-box player, if you want to play for 20 years, if you want to enjoy your football year-round, then strength training, proper strength conditioning training can help you so much in that respect. Coupled with nutrition, it can help you so much be the best that you can possibly be. And that's all I'm trying to do, is help GAA players in these 12-week series pick up habits that are going to keep them leaner, healthier and fitter for longer. Thanks for watching. Next video coming soon. Don't be afraid to get in touch. I know you'll enjoy this video, so don't be afraid to interact with me. Thanks.